pursuit of records is a natural outgrowth of our human competitiveness and our curiosity for the unknown. What happens when you fly faster than the speed of sound? What is it like to run a mile in less than 4 minutes? A record breaker is an explorer, confronting a vision of the world no man has ever seen before. From the beginning of automotive history, roughly 100 years ago, one record has always held a particular fascination: the land speed record. The world's fastest car. What did it look like? How fast had it gone? What was it like to drive? The average motorist would never drive cars like these, but he could relate to them, if only in his dreams. Today, the focus is on something new: the world's closed course record. One lap around any track of any length, anywhere in the world. This is the challenger for the new record, a handsome streamliner powered by a highly modified 4-cylinder passenger car engine. This is the driver, 4-time Indy winner A.J. Foyt. And this is his job: to travel more than 250 miles an hour in pursuit of the world's closed course record, to go record-breaking. Houston, Texas, a city with a skyline that has soared in the past few years, a place where the pulse of things, once slow and leisurely, has quickened suddenly. It seems only yesterday that this was the dowager city of the Gulf Coast, staid and stately, with Spanish moss growing in the trees. But not anymore. When the Space Center was built, Houston became a magnet for computer and electronics companies, high-tech industries, anything that was fast, anything that suggested the future. They even got Nolan Ryan, the fastball ace, for the baseball team. But you know, before any of the expansion, back when this town was, well, still half asleep, there was one man whose exploits, and he operated right out of this shop, were beginning to make Houston synonymous with the idea of speed. His name? Well, you can read it right here. Anthony Joseph Foyt, Jr. His father had raced, and A.J. began competing when most kids were still reading comic books. From the beginning, he had a way of seeming to be in command. Off the track, his bigness and physical strength gave him presence. On the track, he became a winner in everything from Indy cars to sprint cars. There were years when nothing seemed to stand in his way. When he needed a technical advantage, his mechanical intuition found it for him. When he needed pure speed on the track, it flowed from him, a natural resource. He could threaten, and he could bluster, and he could charm. But most of all, he could win.
Every time AJ went out there, every time I thought of AJ, in my heart and in my soul and the way I felt, we were going to win. And we did win. We won most of the races. It could be a dirt race that AJ would win. It could be a stock car race he'd win. And our Indy cars at that time were absolutely unbeatable, and AJ won most of those.
He won Indy 4 times. He won the national championship 7 times. He won at Daytona. He won at Le Mans. But it wasn't just his record that made his fellow drivers respect this tough Texan. It was what he was like to race against, out there on the track.
You could always count on running wheel to wheel with him forever, all day long, you know, and just it was fun racing with him because you could always count on what he was doing.
He was always a gentleman, although, and you could rely on his not putting you into the wall, but he was also a very fierce competitor.
I was pretty much 5 years his junior, and sort of trying to fill those tracks. He was always an inspiration to me because, again, he always did things well. He did them with a certain arrogance, a certain command, and that's what race drivers are all about, the great ones anyway.
There's another side to A.J. Foyt, his warmth, his friendliness. When I first drove at Indianapolis, he couldn't have been more helpful. Of course, I was just a rookie, and I doubt if he thought I was much of a threat to him in the race. When I'd see A.J. win, I'd see a man who was complete, whole. Winning was his state of mind. Winning meant business as usual.
Like I've always said, you show me somebody that's a happy loser, and I'll show you somebody that's never won a race.
The Foyt trademark had always been independence, a spirit of do-it-yourself. Build your own cars, run your own team. But back in 1984, a group of automotive engineers working for Oldsmobile in Lansing, Michigan, began work on a project which, although it would soon involve Foyt, at the outset had nothing to do with him, or any other driver, or car, or event. The project began with an engine. It was called the Quad 4.
We hadn't had a clean sheet of paper engine for many years, and there was a need out there. The market's changing, the needs are changing, fuel was dear, and we also knew that eventually there'd be a great interest in performance and horsepower. So the Quad 4 was a search for something that could deliver both.
And he came up with the Aerotech concept as a way of combining a show car, a high-speed functional engineering type car, to give us a good platform for just exploring the high-level capabilities of the basic Quad 4 engine. The project was really a heck of an excuse to engineer some neat stuff. And just about everybody that we pulled into the project started to pick up on that.
They wanted to highlight the Quad 4 engine, and we felt as though the body had to be more than just an everyday race car. It had to function well aerodynamically, but it also had to have the appearance that was a cut above any other race car. It's truly a show car.
Development of the project became a complex web as high-performance part suppliers and engineering consultants cross-referenced their work. A chassis was created in England by March, the leading IndyCar builder. The engine was sent to Herb Porter, a crusty old gentleman who breathes horsepower the way most of us breathe air. Porter, at the controls of his dynamometer, began the fine-tuning, began to understand the personality of the engine.
And we got this one pretty happy here about a month ago. So we got more confidence we could run harder and harder, and you just keep going on in that direction. And then pretty soon the data and the engine starts telling you, well, I don't like this, so that's the next thing you fix.
At each stage, the project was bringing together people with different personalities and areas of expertise, diversity that was further increased when Olds hired A.J. Foyt. Now, engine, body, and chassis would leave their world of styling studios and wind tunnels and go to Foyt shops in Houston, Texas, there to be transformed from a project into a car named Aerotech.
Foyt was probably the one that had the most to consider, because he was really being asked to commit to driving a vehicle that was going to be designed by some people at General Motors, constructed in England by March. He was familiar with March, but not in full-body type things. And it was going to have a lot of high-tech stuff in it that was put on there by GM engineers and technoids. The engines were going to be developed and tuned by engine camps that Oldsmobile was hiring, and Foyt's not used to operating that way.
In order to give the car a shakedown test before its record attempt, it was trucked from Houston to a test track that lay in the shadows of the Superstition Mountains in Mesa, Arizona. Superstitions. Most of us have them. Theater people believe it's bad luck to wish anyone good luck. In the world of racing, green is unlucky. But in the world of high-speed record breaking, where attempts have been so rare, there really aren't any superstitions or any real traditions either. Only one thing is known for sure. It's dangerous. Dangerous business, indeed. But at first, the atmosphere was one of relief, that the waiting was over, that the car, 2.5 years in the making, was finally about to run, even if this was just a warm-up. And there was something about being in Mesa that suddenly made you aware of the challenge that Aerotech faced. To set the world's closed course record, you must complete a single, fast-as-you-can-go lap. A concept that's so easily understood, it masks the agonizing engineering compromises that are involved. For example, if you tune the engine right to the ragged edge for maximum horsepower, it may not last long enough to complete the lap. Or if you make the aerodynamics super slippery, the car may not have enough downforce for the driver to get through the turns. This car, named Aerotech, was no guided missile. It was a real car, built with many of the same design complexities as everyday cars. After the first laps, AJ pulled into the makeshift pits, and we saw some smoke, Something was burning in the engine bay.
Well, it's that damn
Well, nothing serious, just some shrouding. Watch now as AJ deals with the culprit. But soon the car was back at speed, looking smooth and stable. The track is a huge circle, 5 miles around. In this setting, with so little for reference, the only way to gauge speed was with a stopwatch. There, the first flying lap. In a sense, it seemed incredible that any car in its first day out could be driven at over 200 miles an hour. On the other hand, the moment AJ's speeds began to be posted on the pit board, we were forced to see them in comparison with the existing closed course record, which was set 8 years ago at 251 miles an hour. But remember, this was just a warm-up, and Aerotech's engine was detuned. It had much more to give. And AJ, who through the years had set a few records himself, seemed confident.
When you get a car really handling good and performing, it's really, to me, nothing to it. It's just getting it up to that point. Like you say, I've held many records through the years, and that's what we're out to do, is achieve all of them again. And somebody breaks them, we'll go break it again.
What is this fascination with breaking records? With speed itself? This track, with its long straights and gradual curves, was built for speed, for testing fast cars. Through the years, as it lay here in the hot desert sun, its very presence made men dream of speed. Why do we want to go so fast? To fill the moment with so much? Isn't it enough to live by the rhythm of the waves and the steady journey of the sun? Of course not. Speed is time suspended, and it's the way we flirt with immortality. We're aware of time all the time. We race the clock. And why? Maybe there's a little A.J. Foyt in each of us. Out of the search for speed can come what we call progress. Aerotech gives us the dream of someday owning a car like this, and the fantasy of commuting to work at 250 miles an hour. And practical stuff, too. You take Aerotech's 4-cylinder production engine and stress it to the limit, and you get knowledge which leads to better fuel economy and longer engine life for the average car. This basic engine is expected to be in production into the 21st century. Its turbochargers, its ignition system, its combustion chamber design may be commonplace then, but today they are our chance to peek into the future. West Texas. Big, like I guess you'd expect. A few oil derricks here and there. Cattle. More cattle than people. The rest of the world seems far away when you're out here, and while thoughts of speed may be entertained by some, others are concerned with, well, just putting one foot in front of the other. And then, rather the way a small town is changed by the arrival of a traveling circus, the West Texas landscape was abruptly filled with AJ and his men, the Oldsmobile engineers, the safety crews, the men who would do the official timing, and 2 cars. First, the short-tailed Aerotech we had seen run in Mesa, and an untried, long-tailed version. For the key players, there was a sense of now or never. 9 months had passed since the Mesa test, when Aerotech ran 218 miles an hour, and the engine development program had reached a point where the calculations and computer models showed there was enough horsepower to set the record if everything went just right. For luck, Bill Porterfield attached one of Foyt's Coyote stickers to the car. When the Aerotech rolled out to warm up, I realized what a strange business record-breaking really is. A solitary car on the track, no spectators, the adversary nowhere to be seen, represented only by the abstract fact of its speed, achieved at another time and in another place. What is real is the sound of Aerotech's engine, clear and crisp across the desert landscape. And to Herb Porter, that sound is like a language all its own, telling the story of an engine coming to life.
I like to hear them, and they'll tell you when they're happy. You can't tell them, or they'll spit in your eye, you know what I mean? Engines are just like people. They got to breathe good and breathe hard if they're going to run fast, so when she's really pumping hard, you know she's running hard.
And it's just as harder work, or maybe harder, because you're trying a lot of things at very high speeds unknown. It's very tricky, to be truthful with you. You're hanging it out just as far as when you're in competition.
And the sense of competition was all at once very real. Aerotech was just 2 miles an hour shy of the record, held by Mercedes-Benz. But before it could run again, there was much to do, to the engine, to the aerodynamics.
The amazing thing is that we are pretty close to all the predictions, and I think some of the back seat drivers are realizing that the pencil guys maybe know a little bit too. And it's been a very good relationship with AJ. He's been super to work with.
Because I'm a halfway mechanic myself and engineer with the guys. If I was just a driver sitting there just pushing a button, it would drive me crazy. But with me kind of working with the aerodynamic people and discussing things back and forth, it's great.
While work proceeded on the short tail, the plot thickened with the appearance of the long-tailed car, an untried body coupled to an engine worked on not by Herb Porter, but by a rival engine wizard named Rocky Phillips.
Interestingly enough, Rocky Phillip and Herb Porter used to be partners years ago. And now in Aerotech, they find themselves running side by side, if you will. So I'm sure that they were looking over each other's shoulder to see what the other camp was doing.
As AJ was pushed out for his maiden voyage in the long-tail car, expectations were for a simple shakedown cruise. What happened was something else.
The long-tail car had never been on a track before, and we literally finished assembling the car on Monday and Tuesday, and we finally got it on the track Wednesday early afternoon. And Foyt warmed the car up for 2 laps, just getting a feel of it, because the aerodynamic properties on that long tail are just totally different than the short tail car. And either the 3rd or the 4th lap around the track, we measured a flying mile at over 275. And I think the whole group was stunned, to say the least. A brand new package, 275 for a flying mile.
The flying mile is an internationally recognized world record consisting of 2 flat-out runs over the same measured mile, one upwind, one downwind. Bill Porterfield had done his homework, had the statistics, and knew that Aerotech had a shot at the record. AJ also sensed the opportunity.
Right now?
But I like to do it at 3. I would like to do it at 3.
This was the situation, and notice that AJ is pulling out onto the track essentially the wrong way, the reverse of what he's been doing. He's already gone 275 one way, and now he's got to take a shot the other way. And the 2 runs must be made within an hour of each other. Then the 2 speeds are averaged. Those are the rules. AJ goes around once and doesn't make it. The car, its tires and suspension set up for left-hand turns, is hard to handle turning the other way.
Faster.
But the car is low on fuel. Time is running out in the hour allotted for the return run. This was not planned for and is very dangerous. Fuel must be pumped aboard next to the red-hot engine, and to save time, AJ is gamely staying strapped in the car. And yes, there is another chance for a shot at the record. But no, he misses the record by less than a mile an hour.
Not enough time to make another pass.
Well, he said he can't go again, so you might as well bring him in.
Yet, the very next day, AJ blows the old record away, running one direction at 278 and the other at 257. Average speed and a new world record for the flying mile, 267 miles an hour. Now the moment was at hand for the attempt on the closed course record. The short tail car had been worked on through the night and was ready. You could feel the emotion, a sense that 3 years of intense effort was coming to a head here and now. The look and the sound of the car seemed right somehow, as if all the work on the engine, the aerodynamics, the chassis, all the logic and theory, all the dreams even, were suddenly fused together under the big Texas sky. It was August 27th, 1987.
Yeah, when you get up fast wheels running today, you know you're running, you know that you're on a fine line, and if you slip, you know you're going to be in serious trouble, and you better be ready for it, and you really got to look way ahead, not right in front of your nose. That's what I found out.
We knew that we were going to reach real hard. The kind of project that this is would require that. You take an engine under 2 liters and try to do the things that we're doing, you're going to be reaching out beyond the normal horizons.
It's a program that we've worked on now for 3 years, and to finally see it all happen. It's an opportunity that will probably never happen again.
I'm excited. This is fun. This is great.
We were glad that we'd gotten this far. The interesting thing is that we really have just begun to scratch the surface as far as the potential of those 2 cars and the motor and the engines that are in them.
But what a beginning. 2 world records. In the spontaneous applause, you could sense the excitement and also the relief.
Only thing you have to do is sit and work on it. Don't give up. You know what's there, but they get obstinate now.
Aerotech will run again because there are always lessons to be learned, concepts to try, and there will always be men who dream of speed.